So, welcome to my studio. Hi all, welcome to my studio. This video segment, tutorial, will be on Norse inspired walking sticks. So we'll start with a length of wood. In this case, it's a piece of white oak, which I've harvested off the living tree 6 seasons ago. A 40-year-old oak, and this, judging by the growth rings, is about 8 years old. So now, the first thing we need to do, after having selected the living timber and cutting the length off as required, is to prepare the wood. First thing is to debark. So, preparing to do this carving, this is a selection of the carving tools that I'll be employing for this project. On the right is here, there is a good curved edge, a good chip carver, a good detailer, one of 2 offset chisels, this being his bigger brother, and this is the ore carver, a great companion in the pocket. Razor sharp, great implement, and for the bigger work is a Norwegian carving knife called a tomme, as in unit of measure spanning a hand, little finger to tip, thumb to back of handle. So these are the implements that I'll be using, and then we'll get onto it. So, preparing the wood, one can do it 2 ways, or many ways really. ones to use good sharp blade like this, and you shave the bark away. Now, for those of you who know a bit about wood and wood types, the bark varies from species to species and the age of the timber. In this case, because it's not too many years old, the bark is fairly thin, as you can see. So, holding the knife in a manner where the forefinger acts as a guide, you can slice away. Drawing for this purpose is easier than cutting down or shaving down. Now, for this project, a much faster way of going about it, and also a uniform way in terms of depth of shave or cut, I'll be using this mini spoke shave. Great tool. This comes in a set of 3, where it's a straight edge, as with this, or there's a convex blade, which is great for hollowing, and also a blade that is in between. So, grabbing the wood between your legs, it's always good. You draw up. First off, let's get this. There we go. And, as you can see, just shaving away. Scraping, in this case. So that just gives a fine exposure of the wood beneath the bark. One can use all sorts of woods, of course, for walking sticks. Oak is a favourite, and as I said, this is a white oak. So, having scraped away, most of the bark is gone. This allows then for penciling in any pattern that you desire. Now, I'm currently doing serpent motifs. The Norse reference is orm. So an orm/serpent walking stick. For that purpose, I have 2 entwining serpents going down and up the full length of this stick. So then we get to the next stage. Having penciled in the pattern, for this length I've chosen to use a hand's breadth, palm width if you like. So placing the hand there, marking both ends, both sides of the hand, and then inscribing the line around the wood, and doing this for each repetition as we go down. Then the next stage would be to mark the swirling serpent's body, 2 of them. So then, having got your starting point, I feel it's a good idea to have the crossover between the two climbing serpents to be equally spaced, and the cross point being round the front of what is to come a completed walking stick. So now, to me, that's a good forward looking bow, because one can take quite a bit of weight on this length. Twigs and branches in nature tend to follow a straight line, but you'll find that they grow off in different directions, so we end up with all sorts of lovely shapes. Very fitting for a serpent theme, I feel. So now, having got the spaces right, then it's a matter of tracing a line at this spacing, about 44 to 45 degree angle off, and then you proceed and you continue until you get to crossover point. And then we do the same thing in the opposite direction. So you go this way and you follow it round to here's a crossover, and you go down and around again, there's another crossover, so that the snakes are crossing over equidistant or thereabouts, depending on your inspiration, the length of the stick. Now you can do the maths and subdivide that length in as many crossover points as you wish. It may be a numerological inspiration on your part or on a client's requirement, so then the spacings will vary accordingly. So this will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossovers, or knots if you like. So having marked off the design, or the basic design, there's more to come up here, and adornments as you deem necessary as you go. So then you take this blade, and then we follow a line and we cut, draw it towards you along the line. Like so. And that's the start of the trench, if I like to call it that. And so we continue, bearing in mind that these are crossover points when the two bodies meet. So you've got to make sure that you've got it marked off clearly, otherwise you may make a mistake. And that is to say that if the snake goes in this direction and you've decided that it's going to be over the other snake's body, then you need to have that consistent. So the way to do that is to follow the line, and you go, so that's over, therefore that should be under, and then over, under, over, under, over, under, and so forth. That means that in the scheme of things, the snakes, as they are winding themselves around the staff, cross over each other either on top or below, depending on where along the length of the staff it occurs. So it's like plaiting after a fashion. So when you've then got the required depth, so that the body itself, the body, that is to say, of the snake, is deep enough, then we'll just carve the interspace or negative space away so that there becomes a diamond or lozenge raised section. So now this is an extremely sharp blade and it works really well for this type of purpose. And so slicing along, so we're making a bit of a V cut, making sure that we stop short of the other serpent's direction, and we do likewise on the other side. And so we do this the full length of the stick. And so we whittle away until, eventually you end up with a very raised section, which is then the serpent's body, leaving the in-between spaces also raised, but shaped, and so that you end up with a very artistic and functional piece of timber. And pushing the blade along works also, but there's less control than to draw the blade. So you can see that now we're getting a bit of depth in here, and it'll start to come out, if you like. So now, another step, once you've got all that done, is this. Here is one that is nearing completion, and you may see that I have decorated the body of the serpents with plait work. There's many ways of treating the body of the serpent. You can leave it totally unadorned. You can use pyrographed designs on it. In this case, there are 3 strands interwoven, which is a traditional Norse form of adornment. So now, when you have fully carved away the pattern as you desire it, you can see that it has a very tactile and organic form. And now, to make this pattern, you need to keep your wits about you, because it's easy enough to lose oneself in which strand goes under which to come over where. So to that extent, I'll give you a quick run through. So we'll do it on this segment here, which I'll just add a bit more depth to. old pencil out. And, so to do this, three strands. So you start with one and you do a wave pattern. Then you introduce the second strand, which will start, say, in the middle of what becomes three. So there's one start and there's a third start. So we then draw that over so that we have now two. Then we take the third comes over so that we have three strands that then go in line. So then the interesting part then is to carve them out. Now, of course, you can cut them as a single sweep using a V tool, or as I do, is I carve out the individual strands like thongs, and that looks like this. So as you can see, there is the pattern, and believe me, it's easy to get lost and make a mistake. It's not that easy to repair or change a mistake into how it should be, because you're cutting into the timber, and there's only so deep you can go without weakening the structural aspect of the timber fibre itself. Okay. Right, now with the pattern of the three thongs interlacing, having traced that onto the timber, using this little offset chisel here, it's easy, makes easy work, because what we do need to do is to just take the lobes off. So at the rise of each wave, making a V cut, and then, like in chip carving, it comes off. Here's an example. So here we are. Just where my thumb is, there is a V cut. So then we'll do another next to it, down the length, and that'll be the crest of each wave being traced down. We'll be doing the same on our other side. Once we've got that outline done, we can then start chipping out the bits between the thongs. So it's a process. You need patience because it's detail work, and of course this is an excellent detail knife, and I can do the same thing with this. Just close one blade so I don't stab myself, and then we just put the point in like so, do it across there like so, and then we'll just lift it. There we go, done. So out and about, this is the perfect way, and so we can continue the shape down along the full length of the staff or walking stick. Some people would refer to this as a staff by the time it's finished, with the adornments and the like. I do make staves and wands as well, but for the practicality of it all, a walking stick is always good. So we can discount these carving blades that I laid out for you and just feature two knives. So we started off with a Norwegian carving blade to get the grooves that will define the body of the serpent. And by the way, the tip is so fine, it's as good as a tip on this oak detail knife. And so you can do very fine work with this too. It's just that for practicality and safety for small work, the length of the blade makes it a bit awkward. Without having had enough practice, you do some energy perhaps. This is perfect. So we do all the detail work, and then we end up with this, so that the detail, it's in the cutting across each thong where it goes, it's a subduction zone, and doing the same across here and slicing away so that you have a three-dimensional carving. So to bring it closer so you can see some of the details, there is the braid work happening here, and there's braid work along here. And for cat lovers, there is a jaguar or panther climbing down the length of the stick. On the back end or back side of the same stick, we have another cat fully stretched out, reaching, as it were. So the nitty-gritty is in chipping the wood out between the thongs. Okay, once you've done that, then you've got to sand the staff, and then we get to and having finished adorning the staff to your happiness. In this case, what I have here is where now the serpent has come up towards the handle, and it terminates in the serpent's head. Likewise, the other serpent has swirled around and terminates with head facing in the opposite direction to the other, one above the other. So they're looking at different directions, which is great. Now what I also do then is I will later, when this is about to be varnished or lacquered, I will insert jewels in the eyes, and then of course the handle itself will be adorned as well. Now you can see here the starting or the commencement of a dowel being carved out of the head of the stick. This is going to become the fastening for the handle. So we get a cross piece and carve out a hole to receive, so it'll be the female receiving the male, a dowel point, which will be glued and braced and leather wrapped. I'll show you that as we progress. Okay.